Fox News has nothing on Walz.
That still matters. So let's look back at his record. Walz's first executive order as governor was to create a diversity, equity, and inclusion council. He also supported.
No, I can't believe he did that. Oh my God. I hate him.
Open borders.
You know, he talks about this wall. I always say, let me know how high it is. If it's 25 feet, then I'll invest in the 30-foot ladder factory.
And he pushed socialism.
He's saying that walls don't do anything to fucking curb immigration. He's right.
Don't ever shy away from our progressive values. One person's socialism is another person's neighborliness. Just do the damn work.
Ooh. Oh, wait, and there's more.
They're posting his dubs. They're clip chimping him to shit. You can hear the audio cutting mid-word. It doesn't matter. This is weak shit. You got nothing. You got no smoke.
Signed an executive order protecting gender-affirming care or surgeries for minors in his state. And in 2020, he was the governor of Minnesota during the George Floyd.
Oh, they just skipped through that. Okay, got it. All right, great.
Riots that burned part of Minneapolis to the ground.
Yeah, it's crazy that they were like, hey, medical decisions should be kept between a doctor and the patient. Okay? Wow. Hey, guys, I'm so angry. Aren't you angry? No, medical decisions should famously not be kept between a patient and a medical professional who literally has all of the data and knowledge. It should be between a doctor, a patient, and me, random guy on Twitter. I should be making these decisions. Not a doctor and a patient. Why am I not in the center of these fucking conversations? It's not between a doctor and a patient. It's me, random guy living in Staten Island. I get to make these decisions. Small government, by the way. I love small government, except for when I make the decisions about medicine.
It was so bad that Walz himself called out his own response.
Please stop shitting on Staten Island. Excuse me. I will never stop shitting on Staten Island, okay? What the fuck? That is one place I will never stop shitting on. You're out of your dang mind, okay? Holy shit. Hell no, dude.
I got a call from a friend and a dedicated public servant. Senator Torres Ray called in her district, and it was on fire. And there weren't any police there. There weren't any firefighters. There was no social control, and her constituents were locked in their house wondering what they were going to do. That is an abject failure that cannot happen. If the issue is that the state should have moved faster, yeah, that is on me.
I like that he's like openly taking ownership of his failures as what like a good, like taking accountability. Like that's insane. They're making fun of him for taking accountability. That is insanity, dude. Like, that doesn't make him look bad, dumbass. Folks, accountability has got, it's woke. This man is taking accountability. What a woke fucking loser. Let's hear what Fox is doing. They're coping right now.
Their liberal utopia is every American's worst nightmare.
This is a ticket that really represents the spirit of those 2020 BLM riots. They're riots that Tim Walz, as governor, sat back and let happen.
She has picked a dyed-in-the-wool radical progressive to join on that ticket. Shows exactly what her priorities are.
And they will have plenty to...
Great. Talk about that. Talk about the policies. That's great. Oh, he's a radical progressive. Why? Because he wants to feed children. Because he's feeding school children. That's awesome. That's phenomenal. Please, please keep it going. Keep it coming. Stick to the issues. That is losing. You will lose.
Ooh, this is great. We're going to have massively trained troops. No, you're going to have 19-year-olds who are cooks. Trying to make sure we don't see our cities burn. This is that catch-22. The more police are there, the more tension it is. The more tension it is, the more chance you have to get things. Don't ever shy away from our progressive values. One person's socialism is another person's neighborliness. He talks about this wall. I always say, let me know how high it is. If it's 25 feet, then I'll invest in the 30-foot ladder factory.
I'm nutting. I'm
Very
nutting. I'm
interesting. All
nutting
right, so
too
as we
hard.
await this first campaign rally, Jesse, will some of those words come back to haunt this ticket?
Kamala Harris choked. She chose Bernie Sanders. This is Bernie Sanders right here. The squad loves this guy. Loves him. You see pictures, they're like almost undressing together. What? And she managed to pick someone who looks older than Biden. I would have gone with the younger guy, but who knows if this was even her choice. Eric Holder was running the vetting op. He chose him, probably. You know, he's Obama's wingman. He probably was like, Kamala, you're picking Walz. Let's just lose this and get on to 28. Because this is like a sacrificial lamb pick. This is the pick you put up there to get crushed, and then so you keep your better candidates ready for the next cycle. It's also a trick pick, because this guy's not Minnesota nice. He's Minnesota nuts. Yeah. They keep saying this guy's, there's Midwestern white value. Come on, this guy's a lunatic. Sanctuary cities, driver's license for illegals, sanctuary cities for sex changes for children. And if you don't want the sex change for your kid, then the state will come take your kid away from you. This guy put tampons in boys' bathrooms. 4th grade boys' bathrooms, tampons. He wants CRT taught. He was all about toppling the Columbus statue. This guy changed the flag of the state to look more like Somalia. What is wrong with this guy? In COVID, he had a snitch line so your neighbors could rat you out if you broke his lockdown rules. This man is out of his mind. He actually went and joined the army, and then right before they deployed to Iraq, quit. And all his unit is like, whoa, bro, where'd you go? They can't stand this guy. I've never seen this guy ever try to get out of a DUI. He said he was deaf from being in the Army. And then he blew a .12. I didn't know that. And Jessica, I have to ask, why did he honeymoon in China?
What?
He's been to China 30 times. That's strange.
Oh,
I find that
was he there with Hunter Biden?
Suspicious.
Okay.
Someone should look into it.
Okay. Do you care to answer that question?
Well, we obviously got different research today.
Okay.
Jesse's side and my side.
You just didn't get yours.
Oh, no, I got mine.
Okay, so
I got plenty
So
of
here's
mine.
the question, Jessica. To Jesse's point, apparently the Trump campaign is rather pleased with this pick. They think it'll be easier to beat them.
Yeah, they're definitely projecting that. I saw J.D. Vance this morning in front of a huge Kamala sign where you couldn't even read the chaos. So everything is going really well for that side of the aisle. And they were going to act like this no matter who the pick was. And they weren't going to come out and say, oh, we're really scared of Josh Shapiro. But there was a clear line. If you need Pennsylvania to win, Josh Shapiro made a lot of sense for that. He has a 61% favorability. He's a great speaker. He's definitely a lot more moderate. But Politico is reporting that the teams just didn't mesh as well, that Kamala and Josh Shapiro did not have nearly as a good sit down as she did with Governor Walz, and that Governor Walz brings a lot of experience that she wanted on the ticket, not only his time in Congress, where he was, I think, the 7th most conservative Democrat in the House, someone who is a gun owner, someone who does have those Midwestern values, but his executive experience in Minnesota. And I've seen, and Jesse just radiated some of them, the attacks on him as a socialist. I don't know what kind of socialist runs the number 6 best state in America for big business. Target is there for a reason. 3M is there for a reason. United Healthcare is there for a reason. General Mills is there for a reason. And the kinds of things that he has gotten past are exactly the kinds of things that Kamala Harris wants to talk about. Things like paid sick leave, $2.3 billion into public schools. He did a huge infrastructure bill.
Was this your top pick?
Yeah, actually it was. In the last couple of days, I was honestly happy with all 4 finalists. And if it had been Andy Beshear, Mark Kelly, Tim Walz, or Josh Shapiro, I would have been happy. But what you're going to see is the right trying to define him as Jesse did. But you're going to see that side-by-side picture of Tim Walz after he signed free school breakfast and free lunch. And someone like Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who is a star in the Republican Party, got a prime speaking spot at the RNC, signing a bill to allow kids under 16 to be able to work. That is the contrast here. A guy who wants to put food in kids' bellies and someone who wants kids to be able to work. And he's the real deal. He is what J.D. Vance wishes that he were. And
so you're questioning whether or not he's a socialist, and we just played a clip. One person's socialism is another person's neighborliness, were his own words.
I don't think people know what the definition of socialism is.
Okay, first of all, I think that this pic reveals who she is, because we don't know who she is. She's pro, she's against, and we don't know who he is. Something like, America has no idea who this guy is. We've only got how many days before the election, and we're going to spend all this time talking about he is, and he isn't. It's almost like she doubled down on someone like her. In other words, we don't know who he is, just like Trump doubled down on someone like he is. But the truth is that this guy, Tim Walz, was Bernie Sanders' choice. AOC's dancing. Let me finish. AOC is dancing. Rashida Tlaib is dancing. All of the progressives, the squad, Jamal Bowman is dancing. Look, this is a guy who wants illegals to get driver's license. This is a guy who allowed rioters in Minneapolis to destroy the city, to loot and to burn down, and literally said to constituents, well, you just stay in your house. No police, no nothing. And when that third precinct was being burnt down, he basically said to the cops, you better get out of there. He didn't send anybody in to protect the people, the businesses, or the victims of those riots, those violent riots that were so peaceful. So the fact that he is the pick, and she turned against a guy who brings her a swing state, Josh Shapiro. He's got a 61% approval rating. 6 out of 10 people support him. Minnesota has always been a Democratic state. The guy brings nothing. He's a nobody, and here's the reason that she picked him, because nobody knows who he is or what he is.
Well, I suppose perhaps we'll learn a little bit more about him when he speaks moments from now. Greg, what do you think?
Well, I'm always interested in hearing the repeat phrases that come up when something happens, and you could see the coordination. For example, all of a sudden the word weird popped up last week over and over again.
His idea.
And what's the word now? And Jessica used it, Midwestern. So Ezra Klein says, Tim Walz is the Midwestern dad Dems need. And then Jessica mentions the Midwestern values. If you Google Midwestern, you're going to get Tim Walz. So what is Midwestern? Is Midwestern looking at riots and saying it was caused by the lack of equity and inclusion? Is that Midwestern? Is calling those events exciting, and that reflects a sense of optimism? Is that Midwestern? He abandoned.
I love how much the Republicans are like, why isn't Josh Shapiro the pick? It's like, bro, you're giving the fucking game away. Okay? Like, we know you have no investment in the Democratic Party's success. So maybe these dumbass liberals who were also in the pocket for fucking Shapiro should perhaps understand that that was a bad pick.
As for the National Guardsmen, when he said they shouldn't come here because they're just 19-year-old cooks. Well, at least the only thing they're burning are food, as opposed to the 19-year-olds burning down into Arby's. I think this is a match made in heaven, or hell. You have Walz and Harris, they're he defended the burning of his cities.
Yeah, Republicans cried that Biden dropped out. Now they're crying that Shapiro wasn't the pick. It's bullshit. Let him fucking cry and be like, oh, it's anti-Semitic. It's anti-Semitic. It's like, it's anti-Semitic. Suck my dick, dude. Especially when talking about progressives as anti-Semitic is so funny. Because, like, they complained that the left wing of the party loved Bernie too much. And then they complained that the left wing of the party that loved Bernie so much, they voted for a third party, voted for Jill Stein. Consistently, out of all of the people that the supposed left wing of the Democratic Party or progressives in this country love, the fuck are we talking about? Anti-Semitism being a point of contention here is so fucking stupid. As a Midwestern undecided voter, the Republican rhetoric is weird and Walz is everything I'm about. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Notice how they're saying Walz Harris because they can't even conceive a woman in power. I mean, that's
listen for that for just a moment.
Point. We know that already.
Should Republicans be careful not to
yeah, I forgot. Kamala literally is married to a Jewish man too. Like, like what is this argument, dude? The anti-Semitic Democratic Party is not, bro. You are not clearing beyond 28%. Okay. In terms of the Jewish vote, I'm giving it 28% max for the Republican Party. That's my that is the most favorable percentage point in voters that they're going to get. Okay. Like, if they think that this is going to, if they think that this is going to like win them massive favors, yeah, good luck. They call him a bad Jew, so I don't think he counts to them. That's the other part. They will literally immediately be like a guy like Donald Trump will turn around and be like, Chuck Schumer, he's like a Palestinian. He's a bad Jew. Like, yeah, good job, man. Yeah, good luck. Good luck with that. That's definitely, like, you are getting the most conservative Jewish voters that were already voting for you. You are not picking up additional Jewish votes. It's just not happening. Especially because, like, if anything, one of the points of contention here are like young voters, and young Jewish voters are anti-Zionist by the same margins that young voters are across the board. Okay, the TikTok vote, like, it's just not happening.
Earlier, long lines. What are you seeing inside?
People here are going crazy in a way that I have not seen in all of the dozens or more of Biden events that I have been to in the last couple of years. You look at this crowd, there are 10,000 or so, mostly young people, right now singing along to a ludicrous song. They have been very engaged the entire afternoon that they've been waiting. And it's got more of a concert vibe than a political rally vibe. And you can see behind me, people are wearing the kind of wristbands that they can control. Somebody in the back is controlling. They can be red, white, or blue, like you would see at a Taylor Swift concert or something like that. And so they are bringing out prominent Democrats from Pennsylvania. We just heard from Fetterman. We heard from Bob Casey. Josh Shapiro is going to come next. They are still making him talk as the battleground state governor, even though he was passed over for a running mate. But there is so much more excitement from the people that are here and from the people that are putting on this event than we saw for anything with President Biden. And we come to Philly with him more than we go anywhere else. Other than Delaware, he has been to Pennsylvania more times than any other place, but we'll pop into like a Union Hall, or the big one that they did here was at Independence Hall outside, and he was talking about threats to democracy. It looked really dramatic, but there were not a ton of people, and they are cheering like somebody else is about to come out. So I will throw it back to you.
All right, Peter, thanks so much. And Minnesota Governor Tim Walz set to make his debut as Kamala's new running mate. While we wait for that, hiding Kamala is taking a page out of the Joe Biden playbook.
Oh my God. Do not let anyone forget how wrong so many Democratic Party loyalists were and how right this guy was in terms of talking about how much momentum would immediately fucking land on the Democratic Party's fucking feet, dude. Oh, God damn, dude. Year of vindication. Year of Hasanabi vindication, motherfucker. Holy shit. Everyone that portrays themselves as like these big, brilliant thinkers that just toe the Democratic Party's line and repeat basically whatever the fuck they hear from MSNBC, turning around and just eating crow, okay?
On why Kamala has been dodging the press.
Well, she can't answer questions. She hasn't done one interview. You know, she's not doing any interviews. Yeah. Because if she did one interview where a hard question's asked, she's incapable of answering it.
I'm a Minneapolis resident. Walz has been handling he let the city burn narrative for years. He uses an opportunity to show how well Minnesota's doing nationally. Yes. I think that's also a great take as well overall. That in and of itself also can be framed within the weird narrative too. Republicans are weird. They keep talking about like these beautiful American cities are, you know, shitholes and burned to the ground. Look at how well Minneapolis is doing. They're lying to you. They're lying about your backyard too.
The very few things she said about this administration actually trying to address inflation. And in 2021, when inflation just started to rear its ugly head, and they sort of downplayed it, ignored it, said it wasn't going to last, and it sure did, and it's still here. She had this sort of stumbling, mumbling answer as to how this administration was going to tackle.
Folks, I've officially become a Dr. Pepper boy. I've improved on my soda flavors.
Of the American voters. We saw this across the aisle, and we did not just see this in border states. We saw this all over the country. Okay, so she seems to be running away from the fact that she was tasked with fixing the problems at the border. It was just the.
I think after the strawberries and cream one, this one seems not as good, but it's still pretty good.
Judge.
Yeah, you know, Jesse, Pelosi calls Walz middle of the road. Is that middle of the road as per San Francisco guidelines?
The middle of Haight-Ashbury. That's right. Kamala is so scared, Judge. It's been since June she's done an interview. What's she so scared of? I thought she was this big tough prosecutor.
Yeah,
that was gonna like take on Donald Trump.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're not afraid. We're not flailing. Oh, Kamala. Oh, she made a really big mistake. It's like, yeah, dude, she made a really big mistake for fucking getting an objectively popular governor on the ticket who has done so much.
He'll talk to anybody. He's trying to be the president of all Americans. Kamala's terrified of ABC News. She's terrified of MSNBC. What is she hiding? I mean, everybody knows what she's hiding because she's a mess and she's been protected by the Democrat machine. That's why she's laughing. Greg touched on it yesterday. She's just going to giggle until they drag her across the finish.
Yeah, that's crazy that they're saying this when like Donald Trump is refusing to do a debate with Kamala Harris unless it's on his own terms, which is pretty wild.
She owes everybody in Congress anything they want. She has to give them. She knows the deal. She's a puppet who's just going to start signing checks and giving away goodies for the entire term if she's elected.
You know, Jessica, there is some truth to that. I mean, even with Evan Gershkovich coming back, there are so many times in the last 16 days that she could have come out and set herself up as a real candidate, but she's just smiling and giggling and reading from a teleprompter. Why?
Well, first, on the hostage or the prisoners being released, she was the first person to hug Evan Gershkovich when he got off that plane.
You can
she was there to greet
too. I'm glad she hugged him.
But you're making it seem as if she is not present for this, that she hasn't been.
No, I'm saying she's not talking to the American people.
And I've been supportive of her doing more interviews. She's not afraid of ABC. She has agreed to do the Stephanopoulos debate on September 10th. I hope she will also do a Fox debate and one in another venue as well. But she's not hiding from that, and I've been consistent. I think that she should sit for long interviews and talk about how she's evolved on policy positions. I think that she
How do you think she'd do?
I think that she would do certainly a lot better than Jesse thinks. And he says in the last block, you know, I'm not taking anything for granted. The way that you're talking, you are taking it for granted, kind of like you did before the red wave that wasn't in 22.
We don't talk about
Okay.
red waves.
We do. Well,
Not anymore.
Okay.
It's going to be close.
The idea that you're going to be able to paint Tim Walz as a San Francisco. It should be noted that the first time he went was
Sore
1 month ago.
subject.
J.D. Vance lived there for 4 years.
Okay. What do boys need tampons for?
I don't know about
Why
this
is he
tampon
giving
in the
little
bathroom.
boys tampons then?
Why is he giving illegals driver's licenses?
I don't know, because they need to drive to work. Easy
Where is
answer.
where you're going with this?
Asked and answered.
Anywhere. I'm
Okay,
asking a simple question.
Tim,
Yeah, because they're human
would
beings.
you give
And they participate in the American economy in much more meaningful ways than you drunk piece of shit. So yeah, no, it's a good idea.
If you look at any of the statistics relating to accidents with illegals, there's a real problem for Americans.
the most accidents are from undocumented people in
No,
America.
no, what I'm
Walz.
saying
He
is when they
drives
get
drunk.
into accidents, they don't have
Okay.
insurance.
If you continue running a campaign like this, where you're attacking him in that way, where you're talking about Kamala as someone who doesn't know anything, who's incompetent.
That's great. Judge Janine Perot making an argument for undocumented migrants to not only have driver's licenses, but also to have insurance. There you go. Asked and answered. Problem fucking solved.
Pitch on inflation. A single policy pitch on the economy. That is fact.
All right,
Have you gotten to the-
Greg, why don't you wrap this up?
Well, thank you. I was getting kind of bored over here.
Yeah.
You know, a couple of things. I'm always curious when I see liberals get upset when you point out the liberalism of their allies. It's like, why would Pelosi be upset when you mention that Walz is a liberal? Isn't it weird when you describe a better version of your politics as something that is less what your politics?
My family's Jewish and my dad loves it. There's a second Jewish second husband, and all of our Jewish friends have never even thought about voting for Trump. I actually have no idea what Fox News or Trump is talking about. Yeah, it's like the trying to fucking trying to run with the, first of all, the Jewish vote in and of itself is not like statistically important. Let's just make that very clear. It's not even, and part of that is because it's in like already deep blue areas regardless. Okay. So like, what are we talking about here? It's ridiculous. As far as like voting blocks goes, it is not a monolithic vote in general, but it's also literally like 75%, 76% Democratic leaning voters regardless. They think that they can put a dent in this by being like, we're super pro-Israel, we're super pro-Israel, not realizing that like a lot of older Jewish voters already understand that the Democratic Party is also super pro-Israel, if that is a consideration for them. And on top of that, they are very socially progressive, much more socially progressive. The 23%, 24%, 25% are already very conservative Jewish voters that still live in these deep blue districts, and they're, voting for Republicans anyway. You are not going to be able to move the needle on this issue in a significant manner. And even if you were able to, you're still talking about the margins here. You're still talking about deep blue areas where not only will you not be able to do this, but even if you were able to do this, it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't statistically matter in terms of like winning an election. Howard Dean alting, that's not a real thing, okay? In this day and age, that's not a thing that people give a shit about. Come on, Donald Trump was president. People don't fucking give a shit about voice cracks any longer.
I think that could be, Judge.
I'm not ready to say.
Have you heard something that might prevent him from being
Kamala
a
Harris running for
2028
re-election?
candidate?
No.
No, something else, Jessica.
Could it be that he's Jewish and Democrats hate Jews?
Oh, that
Jessica?
could be it.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
Let me tell you something. This guy is phenomenal. He may have stepped on himself in the past.
I mean, there might just be skeletons.
Oh, wait, are you talking? What about that whole story in Philly about the woman?
Let it go.
Why?
Well, we don't know everything.
Well, wait, I can talk. I have free speech. There was a woman that was declared a suicide when, in fact, it was a homicide.
20 stab wounds.
No, no. They declared it.
Now she wants to talk about it.
No, okay. Well, no, I just have to make it clear. At first, she said it was a homicide, the medical examiner. Then she said it was a suicide.
Right.
Now, they had to go to the highest court in the state of Pennsylvania to get the court to give them permission to even question this 21 stab wounds against a 27-year-old woman, I think.
School teacher, right?
School teacher. 2 of the stab wounds occurred after she was dead, but of course, they're alleging that she stabbed herself. Now, I ask you, what are the chances of someone stabbing themselves in the back of the head or in their back or after they're already dead?
Now, how does this relate to Shapiro? That's the question.
He was AG.
AG.
Yes.
There you go. Is that the story?
It might be.
Mm-hmm.
We have to investigate, but what the Supreme Court is...
I like that they switched up on him instantly. They listened to him be charismatic for like approximately 15 minutes and immediately were like, remember when he actually flubbed that murder investigation and which, he claimed was a suicide? Like, that's all it took. That's why you need to understand, like you now know why he was a liability. It took you 10 minutes to point out why he is a liability. It's because you already had that oppo in the back of your mind because you suspected him of potentially being the VP pick. 3 fucking seconds in, bro. Come on now.
Homicide. I've taken suicides and proven homicides.
Well,
it can be done.
Going back to the screen here, I think it's fair to say there's a lot of enthusiasm in this room. I think they're about to highlight.
Oh boy!
You talking about this room or that room?
Oh, both, Jesse.
Okay.
Both.
Yeah.
This is the 5.
They're literally bent because they can't fucking use that against Kamala.
Which one?
The one about Jim Cramer. I don't even know what it's about.
Economy. It's about the economy.
Yes,
Here's
they're
the
saying
bottom
that
line.
if you want a strong economy, you got to vote for Trump. We
Well,
kind of
Jim
already
Cramer,
know that.
well, no.
What?
And,
Yes.
Well, yesterday was, this is the end of the world. It's the apocalypse because the market, which started rebounding as it went up. Then overnight, Japan went totally back. So that story went away. And then today, what it went up 600 points when she announced Tim Walz.
I
don't think that. I don't think that.
the stock market to whether or not
I certainly like that Donald Trump does.
new.
I'm just saying, if you live by it, you die by it.
is the
economist. Usually it's based on fundamentals like profits.
And the stock market has been hitting record highs under the Biden-Harris administration. No, you've reported
Are you touting the stock market as a gauge of performance of the White House?
I'm just saying that if you're going to.
Okay, I'll take on your segment.
Sure.
And there's an AP reporter who went on another network who said
Chad, it's always 1v4. She's the token lib. They always have a token lib in that seat.
when people go back to the grocery store, the enthusiasm goes away, and they realize these high prices are here to stay. And they're here because of the massive government spending that happened during this administration. And until we hear Kamala Harris, which I don't even know, we didn't listen to all of Shapiro. I don't know if he addressed the economy or inflation. But if she steps up to the microphone and doesn't acknowledge the #1 problem for every American family right now, they're going to think she's ignoring it or doesn't know how we got here. And how can you fix a problem if you don't acknowledge what led to it? And so it's going to be really important that I was not kidding. If you go to KamalaHarris.com right now, there is nothing on there about the economy and how she plans to fix things for the American people. She says she's going to champion the middle class. This is what matters to them. Grocery prices, utility bills, gas prices.
Right.
Hello?
I mean, Jesse, let's talk about prices. Hold on. Have you noticed a drastic leap in the prices for Cialis and Rogaine?
Well, I know Rogaine's doubled. You'd have to ask Tyrus about the Cialis.
What? Oh, you're a dead man.
Yeah, you are dead.
Shoot.
You're dead to me anyway.
I think I can hear his footsteps coming over from
coming down
Studio
the hall.
D.
He was the first name that popped into my head. He was replacing you all last week.
Take it back.
I'm not
Jesse.
taking it back.
Okay.
I said it. I said it. He said worse about me.
He does?
Probably. Everybody has.
Here's the problem. Not a lot of people have the luxury of voting based on what social issues they think are important. People have to vote on their pocketbook, on food, on gas, whether they can live from day to day. And right now...
And the Republicans have no answers for that.
Donald Trump,
that's why they constantly talk about the genitals of children.
was 2.5%, inflation was 1.4%, consumer prices were 20% lower when Donald Trump was there. Okay, Kamala Harris can't even talk about this stuff, let alone print something about it that somebody else wrote for her. So this is an easy one.
COVID and injecting bleach into.
Oh, come on.
That's a hoax.
We're talking
no one
about
said injecting bleach.
He said it in front of the entire nation.
We'll do it in real time.
The wrong product?
Go.
That's so funny. Oh man. Look. Yeah, it's on video. No, I don't want to watch this. I want to watch the Fox News coverage over it. Oh, here it is. I want to watch the mauled. And I also want to see.
It's your problem. It's things he says, not what he does.
Actually, what he
if you
did,
focus
too.
on what Trump does, then you go like, okay, I'll take the mean tweets.
How about what he does for us?
At least we don't have. At least he doesn't have dementia.
Yeah.
Can you say that about Biden or Kamala?
Or Walz with the tampons for little boys? Again, let's go back to that. What do they need tampons for?
And he wants an electric grid.
So if you're tuning in just now, this is The Five, and that's a live look at Philadelphia, where we do anticipate to see for the first time since naming her running mate, the governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz. Kamala Harris is expected to speak any moment now, followed by her choice for running mate. Governor Shapiro of Pennsylvania just spoke a few moments ago.
Hey, why don't we do our
do you know what the next 2 months are going to be like at this table? You're going to have to watch every day. It's going to be a wild 2 months.
You know, we never get enough time for one more thing.
Why?
I know, and now we have time, and we're still back.
Pitch, and I think that people do know more about them than perhaps my esteemed colleagues at the table do, or that they're letting on. And I think that you're going to be really impressed with Tim Walz. I mean, he's someone who
I'm impressed.
Look at these fucking idiots.
Had she had to go through the primary system, she never would have won. This would not be the ticket.
Yeah, well, I think again, this is kind of like a kind of a Maya Angelou approach to politics. Like, make us all feel like we'll light a candle, everyone will feel better, and you'll forget the fact that you're bleeding money every time you go to the grocery store, the gas pump, and that they want to control every move you make with what kind of car you buy, what kind of washing machine you have, what kind of toilet you can buy.
Yeah, definitely. You guys are not the ones who are trying to advocate to control people's lives by fucking interfering in medical decisions, dude. It's
all right.
bullshit.
He's a riot. That's the focus of tonight's angle.
God damn it. I can't even watch fucking Fox News up in here. I want to watch Copium, man. I want to watch Copium Brigade.
But last year, as inflation was crushing Minnesota families, this was Tim's priority.
We want every Minnesotan to grow up feeling safe, valued, protected, celebrated, and free to exist as their authentic versions of themselves. Protecting and supporting access to gender-affirming health,
gender ideology extremists,
to being a welcoming and supportive state to the community.
Thing that I like. This is another thing that I really, really like about Walz. Like, this kind of traps the Harris campaign into the position that it's like, why are you advocating against this?
Are mature enough to have their genitals mutilated by a twisted surgeon.
You're a freak.
But
you're a freak. You're a freak. You're a freak. Ain't nobody's doing that. You're a fucking freak.
That banned the barbarism.
Students who are understanding are trying to understand who they are as their gender identity is being developed. They are most at risk. We're there to protect children. We're there to help.
Watch this space. I'm telling you right now. Watch this space here. Go ahead. The more you show how normal a progressive teacher is, the more we Republicans will talk about children's genitals to prove how not weird we are. I'm telling you right now, that shit is what they're going to run the table with. If the Democratic Party is not fucking cowardly and they actually actively go, why the fuck would we hurt these teenagers? Like, what the fuck's wrong with you, you freak? These are American citizens, goddammit. They were Minnesotans, and I will protect them every goddamn day of the week. Okay, I care about them a lot more than I care about your stupid ass. Every time you fucking say that, those guys are people. They are Minnesotans. They're Americans. They're neighbors. They have the same fucking dreams that you do. And running a campaign on like trying to fucking kill them when they're like a minuscule percentage of the fucking population is insane to me. And the only reason why you're hyper focusing on that shit is because you have no solution to the economic destitute conditions that Americans are subjected to. That's the narrative. Okay? That's what he means when he's talking about how weird they are. Okay? That's what I mean when I'm talking about how weird the Republican Party is.
Down to the progressives. This is deeply disturbing, and we're going to dig into this more in a few moments. And remember, if the squad is happy and they are ecstatic that Walz is the choice, you should grab your children and watch your wallet.
It's awesome. They literally are just like, look at all these black women. Look at all these black and brown women. They're fucking stoked about Walz, a white guy.
A socialist just means being a good neighbor.
Don't ever shy away from our progressive values. One person's socialism is another person's neighborliness. Just do the damn work.
If America hoped that Kamala Harris's running mate was going to temper her far-left instincts and maybe even reassure an anxious nation, you might remember how things looked over Memorial Day weekend 2020 in Minneapolis.
I think this is also a very stupid narrative. Oh, if Walz is the governor, this is what's going to happen. Black people are going to riot and they're going to steal your shit. Is also really fucking racist. That's number one. You have to go back to 4 years in the past to fucking point to this. Look at what has happened to Minneapolis under his watch. Again, crime panic. Black people are rioting panic. Immigrant rapists and immigrants are criminals panic. All of this is bullshit, okay? You can just very easily turn around and be like, look at the fucking recovery in this beautiful city. And that's it. That's all you gotta do.
And when I say we, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the state of Minnesota, nationally, and as we've seen over the last 24 hours, internationally. A society that does not put equity and inclusion at the center of it is certainly going to eventually come to the places where we're at.
When they were taking over and then burning parts of the liquor store, destroying a small business, was that part of the DEI, failures of the country? But his failure to lead and call in the National Guard earlier allowed neighborhoods and small businesses to burn.
My husband was asleep, and I went and woke him up. I go, you need to wake up now. I go, Town Talk's going to burn down any minute. And we sat there and watched it just melt to the ground, all our hard work.
It started with people with bats entering, people pushing on the front windows, and then hundreds of people went in and they looted, not for an hour, 2 hours, 5 hours, and then they came back the next night and the next night, 6 fires, and it's unbelievable.
Yeah, the Ingram angle was on the scene doing that reporting year.
One of the funniest parts about this is that all of that shit happened in America and Donald Trump lost the election. So what you're doing right now is quite literally going back to a shitty narrative that didn't help you win the election. So kind of feels weird to try and do that again. Like you're literally just playing Trump L's, okay? That's what you're doing right now.
It's just sad to see. Here we are 3 years later, and literally nothing has changed. The activists and some of the city council members, who are also activists themselves, consider it a victory not to have police in the precinct because some of the city council don't want police to begin with.
Don't want police to begin with. But wait a second. We got to be fair tonight. What about Governor Walz's great...
Yeah, I heard her say DEIs did it. As in a substitute for black people because they're racist fucking freaks.
You've lost 40% of your force in the past 4 years. That sounds like a big problem.
It is incredible. It's not just that we lost 40% of the force. They've been facing the highest levels of crime and violence in some categories that the city has ever seen.
Walz has helped tank law enforcement in his state, and he's on his way to tanking education as well. You heard a lot tonight about his experience as a public school teacher, and that sounds lovely. But he's forgotten whatever sense he learned, and now it's all DEI all the time.
We can't find a teacher that looks like the kids they're teaching. You don't need another one that looks like me. You need somebody who's in there. All the research shows that.
All the research.
They keep showing his dubs. They keep showing his dubs.
Naturally,
it's so
with this
awesome.
loopy focus of his, Minnesota's just going in the wrong direction. In its national education ranking, it's dropped now to number 19. But let's look at the bright side. At least the boys can use the girls' bathrooms and get free tampons. Isn't he a riot? And that's the angle. Joining us now, Minnesota State Rep Walter Hudson and John Justice, Twin Cities News, fantastic talk radio host. Representative, what is your warning tonight about the type of leader Tim Walz is? Because we saw the gauzy, warm and fuzzy version tonight, those of us who were forced to watch that rally in Philadelphia.
Well, I think you'd be hard-pressed to find a more radical governor in the union. If he's not number one, he's certainly in the top 3. He certainly radically transformed Minnesota into a socialist hellscape in just the 2 short years since he's had the trifecta of Democratic majority in both the Senate and the House here in the state of Minnesota. And you saw it there, looking back to 2020, as we watch Minneapolis burn, what does he do? Does he protect the innocent? Does he reward the productive and the virtuous? No, he lectures us about equity and inclusion and tells us that we ought to just roll over and allow these rioters to express themselves, mostly peacefully. Get ready for a whole lot of that if Tim Walz becomes the vice president of the United States. I think Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are kind of the before and after picture. She has all these ideas of what she would like to see the country look like. He's actually manifested here in the state of Minnesota.
Oh, that's a great way of putting it. The Biden and Harris are just getting going. And John, Minnesota is near and dear to my heart. I think this is the first summer, I don't know in how many, 10, 12 summers that I haven't yet gotten to Minnesota. But I love the state and I love Minneapolis, and I am heartbroken about the state Minneapolis has been left in part because of the radical policies, the anti-law enforcement nonsense.
Yeah, shut the fuck up. Minneapolis, just like everywhere else, while still having a higher than average crime rating in comparison to the rest of the nation, is literally lower. Crime is going down just like everywhere else. Crime is also going down in Minneapolis. Crime is going down in Minnesota across the board. Okay? Shut the fuck up. They're trying to do the same crime panic narratives, dude. It's not real. Okay?